Welcome to SJU Friday. Dan's not amused with us.
Oh, I'm extremely amused with you.
I'm Roth Cornet, and I am joined by some of my favorite people. Dan Murrell.
Hi.
We got Joe Starr.
Good morning.
Mr. Spencer Gilbert.
Give the designated driver the keys to your truck, Roth. It's Friday.
My favorite person, Daniel Radford, is here to join us and make sure that we deliver an excellent show. It is all on you, Danielle. I like to start our shows with new guests.
Just infinite pressure.
Success.
Take it away, Danielle.
Danielle, what do you got for us
gets
this
up
morning?
and leaves.
Bye. I did think about doing that, and maybe we still will. I don't know. Thor is thundering into theaters this weekend, and that is a terrible pun. However, it is going to pick up a really lackluster box office. Netflix numbers are being tracked, and we have a new Twilight Zone, people, and that is actually the most important news that we will deliver to you today. But first, Thor. So it was one
And
of the
fan questions.
And fan questions.
Yeah. We didn't
Yeah.
throw those out. We actually took them.
No, we took them. There's a lot of them, actually. So this might be a 2-hour show. I don't know. We'll see. So it was one of the worst October box offices in history, but Thor's coming to town this weekend. It's already opened. We saw it last night. There's a review coming later. It's tracking at $100 million to $118 million. That's exciting. As compared to Thor, which brought in about $65 million, and Thor: The Dark World, which was about $85 million. This is the 17th Marvel movie, people.
Ugh.
I just wanted to let that land.
And 150 more to go.
And it's
right?
the highest rated on Rotten Tomatoes. It's at 96%. Dan has questions.
The numbers.
Yeah, right.
Your numbers. Look at
Look
the
at the
average
numbers.
rating.
Dan has questions.
That's a ratio. It is not a.
What is the average rating? Let's look up the
It's
average rating.
7.5.
7.5.
Which puts it right in line with Wonder Woman and the other. It's in there with Spider-Man: Homecoming. It's about.
Yeah.
It's almost identically rated as the other superhero
So
movies.
7.5, that's like a B.
It's good.
Yeah.
7.5. That's 7.5 average. Like an 8.0 average rating on Rotten Tomatoes is like
Oscar
great. So 7.5 is good.
Yeah.
But 96% is a little like, Blade Runner has 88%, but it's an 8.1 average. It's a whole thing.
You
with
should
Rotten
just
Tomatoes.
watch the Rotten Tomato video that Dan did.
Rotten
It's
Tomatoes,
96%
we will.
positive.
It's a real good
Yes,
video.
go watch it. It's real
96%
good.
of critics that saw Thor Ragnarok liked it.
Yes.
But it's not an indication of how much they liked it. It's a whole
Yeah.
thing.
We will tell you how much we liked it
Yes.
later on.
Yes, we will.
Today and tomorrow, because we're actually going to do a spoiler review because we're late. Let's face it.
noise.
On the Thor review, let's
Just noise I make sometimes.
Why are
heard
we
that one.
sad?
What?
Yeah, I didn't quite
like
get
a
that
sad
tone of it.
noise.
It's like a weird transition noise.
Oh.
Have I never made that weird noise around you? I've known
Show
you for 2
segue
years.
is just. All right.
We'll
Moving on.
transition into not sad news. Taika Waititi, who has said that he wanted to make his big goal was to make Thor the most interesting character, which I think he achieved that. Is that why we're seeing the success of this film? As at least critically, people are liking this one a little bit more than the other Thor films.
Oh, by far. Yeah.
So what do you think, Taika?
We haven't seen it.
I'm
Well,
gonna
give
Just
us
one day, Rob.
I'm seeing it literally as soon as I
You
leave
guys
here.
are late. Late.
Late to the party.
Talk to you around tonight. Let's
My-
talk about Thor then.
You would never talk to us outside of working hours.
Well, yeah, we spend enough time together. I mean, what, we're here 40, 50, 60 hours a week. I'll see you Monday.
Why won't you be my friend?
You love us, Spencer!
My question is all of this like, hey, we come in and we save the box office stuff, why Disney thinks they can start doing the things that they've been doing?
Ooh, that LA
Is this why
Times
Disney's
thing.
like going full Gestapo lately?
They're driving the box. Let's be honest. They're
I mean,
driving
they
the
are.
box office. Beauty and the
Really are.
Beast, Star Wars, Marvel. Like it's.
They are,
not
but
wrong.
man, this Last Jedi stuff and this LA Times
LA
shutout
Times
is
thing, which
That
is
is
weird. That's
so
super
much.
weird. Yeah, yeah.
Gonna fill people in on that real quick?
Oh, the LA, basically Disney kind of locked the LA Times out of seeing their movies because they weren't happy with the coverage that the LA Times has been giving their kind of conflict with the city of Anaheim. So I guess they
Which
kind
is
of,
weird
which
because
is
it's like it's a
strange.
local thing that
it's a-
we've always
it's a local
known.
story.
We've always known that there's that weird connection between Anaheim and.
Just,
Yeah.
I love you, and what you're saying is so important. Can you give that history a little bit so that people who don't live here in Los Angeles, maybe,
Yeah, so there's always been, there are weird things about the Disney park. Like some of those stories that you hear and that you see on Snopes are true. People don't get declared dead in Disney parks. Like, Disney gets away with a lot of, or has been known to have a back-rubbing relationship because of the money that they bring into the city of Anaheim, which would be nothing, or very close to nothing. I love the Angels.
There is a medieval times.
Yeah, there's
That medieval times is awesome.
Yeah.
But Disney obviously brings a huge amount of money into the city of Anaheim, and so there's been a back-scratching relationship between the local government there and Disney, and everyone's kind of always known about it, but the LA Times really broke that down, and so now they're being locked out of going to go see Disney stuff.
Yeah, that's just that is a thank you. That was brilliantly delivered.
I didn't prep that.
That's how you
I
do
hope
it.
That was right.
That's Daniel Radford. Yeah, that's straight up and stupid too, because of clearly the LA Times is going to make a thing then about that. So I just don't understand really what's going on over there, because they have controlled their message for years, and now it seems to be in this last week, anyway, in these last couple of days, getting a little bit out of their control.
The mouse the mouse is really, remember that South Park where they had the animation wars and the mouse,
Jonas
Mickey,
Brothers.
like, it was just a horrible, awful monster. Like, Mickey's starting to look a lot more like the South Park Mickey.
Well,
the
and also
past 2
speaking of
weeks.
South Park, it's Streisand syndrome. Like, as soon as you
Is that a thing that's a word?
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
no,
It's
that's
like-
you can wiki that now.
Oh.
Which
Yeah.
is insane. So that was another Star Trek thing, or not Star Trek. That was another South Park thing. I just like Star Trek so much, you guys.
Yeah.
But that was another South Park thing of when you're trying to keep people from knowing something, as what happened when I think it was Google Maps or someone mentioned Streisand's house, and then she fought really hard to get them to take it down so people would know where she lived, and then all of a sudden that made the data and all the information get out further, and it spread it further because people don't like being told that they can't know something. And so all this is doing now is spreading the story about Anaheim and Disney, which wouldn't have really gotten out besides being a local thing, I think.
I'd never
Yeah,
heard of
that's a
it.
fair
And then
point.
today I was
Yeah.
reading about it. I'm like, oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, no,
It would have just been.
I never would have heard of it.
If
Yeah.
you follow like the LA Times on Twitter, it just would have been a story you scrolled past on your Twitter feed and never thought twice about. But now,
And now I'm thinking about that gator that ate that baby in Disney World. Remember that?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
Yeah,
Like
but-
a did eat a child at a Walt
But-
Disney World resort. That's
Wait,
true.
that's
Florida?
true, but
Yeah.
connect the dots for me.
I'm just saying that, like, now I'm thinking about all the shady Disney shit that's happened over the decades of like that. And then didn't they have like a dystopian like Disney town where they like tried to build a neighborhood that they could control every aspect of? And
They,
then it,
they did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
They
it
did.
like
That exists.
Yeah.
It kind of went Lord of the Flies a little bit.
Yeah. You know what? I had a mouse Vader in here, and I feel like we should bring that back at this
Agree.
point, because
Yeah.
it's getting. You know who else is going to get
Let me-
locked out of future Disney
I was about
screenings?
to say, let me tell you what's happening right now.
Let's
All
go.
of us are going to be trying to buy tickets for The Last Jedi on opening night. That's exactly what's happening right now. So look forward to all of your reviews for Disney movies the Friday that they open.
The
from now
Friday that
on.
it opens from now on. I do in fact predict that. Like I want to. We've done a terrible disservice to ourselves with this reporting, but we've maintained our integrity. Yeah, this is really terrible. Like I do not know what they're doing.
it's weird. Look, a crocodile ate a baby. It's not our fault.
That's not
No,
Disney's.
that's not
Well, I
good.
don't know. Well, we should look
That's
into
not
it.
alligator,
That was
not a
really
crocodile.
sad.
That
That was
yeah.
really sad.
But it's just strange.
Yeah.
Disney stories are weird. Like
Dude.
I've never had a Disney news story that's not like just really super
bizarre.
weird in
Yeah.
some weird way, just because it's like
They feel like a fun government, you know? It's a government you can bring your kids to.
that's true. They are like a fun government.
But they're not. They're actually the perfect 1984 government, right? Because they have us all fooled into believing like it's a small world, happiest place on earth, and it's just really grim business. You know, like the people that work there. A lot of the people that I've known that work there, there's a big statue of Mickey Mouse. You've been to the Disney lot, and they'll just call it Mauschwitz. And like
That's in poor taste.
It's in poor taste. It's in poor taste.
Breaking
I
news:
agree.
Disney's not going to allow any of us to see anything.
We're now barred from
Disneyland,
Disney.
barred from
California
seeing any
Adventure or related
Disney
properties.
movie.
Warner Brothers, call us.
As soon as I walk into Thor, they're just going to tear my ticket.
Tear your ticket and kick you right out.
Oh, hello,
it's in
Danielle.
poor it's in terribly poor taste, but I'm saying that we love Disney.
They're a
'Cause I
kingdom.
think we're
It's
one
the
of-
Magic Kingdom.
It's the Magic
It's a
Kingdom.
monarchy. It's a feudal fiefdom, and we are its peasants.
We're really excited about Suicide
We
Squad
can't-
2 here on Screen Junkies News.
Yeah. Anyway, Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok is a really good film. We're looking forward to that opening, and To be fair, and adding this, and
I'm gonna have to take this shirt off. They're gonna come reclaim the shirt.
Guys just come in and start.
It's just like Disney princesses like belay in all of a sudden, put masks on, shirtless boy, and take us to re-education camp, in which I come back tomorrow and say this: Disney is a great company.
I didn't know this room had a skylight.
They produce some of our favorite films of the year. They are a business that is in business to business, and these are the business things that they do. I'll also add, Spencer, that Danielle made a really good point. The more you try to be secretive, the more people want to know about you. And like cats, we will tear at this ball of twine until we unwind it and discover all the secrets of Spencer.
No means no, Roth.
Okay. Stranger Things is currently on Netflix, which is another company that we have nothing negative to say about. We've been wondering about the numbers for a long time, about the ratings on...
How about the ranch?
I just like the idea of Disney princess re-education camp.
Where's helicopter noises coming from? I thought we were... Isn't there like a couple other floors ahead of us?
There were.
We've been wondering about the numbers.
Is it like the hand mouse's tail? It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Yes, Aunt.
Netflix has been very secretive about their ratings.
They have.
However, Nielsen has found a way to crack the code, and Dan did a little deep dive on this. Dan, take it away.
I did. Netflix has not released their ratings, but Nielsen has announced that they are now starting to track both Netflix and other SVOD services. They're going to start tracking those views, and they can report ratings. Now, they can only report TV, so this doesn't even track yet people watching on mobile devices, but they released the first kind of round of ratings for Stranger Things, and I saw the story yesterday. I thought it was really interesting because it kind of puts in perspective, like, you know, we know that these shows we talk about them, but there's never been any kind of metric for like how many people are actually watching. Nielsen tracked the first 3 days of Stranger Things, and basically it broke down that the first episode was watched in this first 3 days by 15.8 million people. Now that's just on TV. That's not tracking people watching on computers, tablets, whatever. To put that in perspective, for last week,
we have a chart.
The premiere episode of Stranger Things would have been the second most watched television program, period. It would have been World Series Game 5, episode 1 of Stranger Things.
Of the week? Or
of the week.
Of the week,
and then 3 more World Series games.
Yeah.
So that kind of is the first kind of inclination or nod to just how kind of far-reaching one of these shows is. It's like this had the reach of, this would have been the top scripted show on television last week. They said that it attracted the 9 episodes, averaged 4 million viewers, 3 million in the demo. As far as demo numbers, that's a little less than Big Bang Theory, which is one of the top scripted. Big Bang Theory averages 3.6 million viewers in the 1849 demo. Yep.
Praise
Stranger
Sheldon.
Things would have been 3 million. It would be. It's more watched than The Walking Dead. That week at least. If this was on network television, this would be a huge deal. Not that it's
what's
not.
the OT?
So the
what? The OT. The OT. It's a show on Fox. Most of it's sports. It's football, baseball, Big Bang, NCIS, and Stranger Things.
Those are the popular things. I will say Walking Dead, as to that though, side note, had a 50% drop off.
Yeah,
this
Walking
season.
Dead had 8.9
Massive.
million total viewers.
Yeah.
Stranger Things would have doubled
Yeah.
Walking Dead's viewership from last week, essentially.
So to give the perspective, like 15 million is massive. It's particularly massive at anything that you would consider like a cable show. So we always used to do conversations about like Walking Dead and those kinds of ratings there. However, for things like a Big Bang Theory and so some of the network series, Big Bang Theory in repeats and reruns will sometimes have higher ratings than things that are on the air that night for the first time. That's how crazy that show is. But 4 million average is crazy. We can't even track that for Netflix because it's 4 million average and then plus how many forever because it sits there on its site. 4 million is about like 4 to 6 million was like what Breaking Bad did, right? So it was like really good for FX, really good for a cable network, but for say like a regular for your CBS or ABC, it's actually not great. it's okay. But yeah,
It's okay.
but still massive for Netflix. And,
And
15 million is huge.
15.8 million is huge. In a kind of a bigger perspective, HBO estimated that the Game of Thrones finale across all platforms, this including everything, was between 16 to 18 million. So Stranger Things was on par with, as far as viewership goes, the first episode at least, was on par with the season finale of Game of
Yeah, I mean,
Thrones,
which is
was like the
amazing.
biggest
Huge.
television event
ever.
of the season
that
so
15
far.
million
So
is crazy.
it's going to be interesting to track, and I wonder how much of these numbers Nielsen is going to release. It's going to be interesting to track because there's been no metric really, other than critically, how shows are doing on Netflix. So it's interesting to see if this changes the perception of a TV show.
Roth has a question.
Yes.
I have a question. Are these numbers domestic only, or do they include international?
As I
They would be
understand it,
domestic
they
only,
include
right?
domestic. What people watching
Here in the United
on
States.
television.
Can you
on
imagine
television,
if you added the international numbers?
that's a whole new ballgame.
Yeah.
And who knows how many people. I think the Netflix estimated that about a third of its audience watches on tablet, mobile.
Yeah.
So that's even potentially more.
That's
I mean,
insane.
It's
That's crazy.
It's crazy. It's good to be able to get some perspective on this because now you can kind of see what the reach of this is, and it may affect what shows Netflix renews,
Yeah.
how much they pay for the rights, whether they come back, whether they don't come back.
Well, and they just pumped a bunch of money into their creative, and everyone was like, I don't know. But when you see numbers like that, it makes way more sense.
Yeah. And you have a thing like, it could be bad though. I mean, it could be like the thing with the Marvel shows. They kind of committed to everything all at once, and you may see if they try something like that, they may not do that anymore. They may say, "Well, we're going to try 2 of them, and then maybe we will, or maybe we won't move on." So it's.
I think the
Dark hallways don't pay for themselves.
They do
It's
not.
true.
They
Dark
really
hallways
don't.
are not- well,
they
they are
really
kinda
don't.
cheap.
They're little, but big monsters don't.
Dragon caves don't pay for them.
If you start thinking about how, it's so interesting to think about how we're even going to look at these metrics in 5 more years, and like because there's so much content, so what's considered a hit versus not.
Right.
Like those are massive numbers, no matter what, for any network. But I wonder if networks are going to start to think a little bit differently about their ratings. Dan and I like ratings and numbers and box office
Love
things.
numbers.
You could not look more bored right now, Spencer.
No. This is your vegetables. We got to eat our veggies. It's interesting because it's a different model. People subscribe to Netflix. They pay per month, so they might be looking at it as just like, we want to make a new show just to get more people. Like some subset, our algorithm has identified that like people who love.
Adam Sandler.
Yodeling and probiotics is like the yogurt yodeler, and they just create that show to get 1 million more extra people, knowing that the Stranger Things people aren't going away.
If it's starring Jamie Lee Curtis, I will watch that.
Right. Whereas
it's a
like
movie or a show.
Big Bang Theory, it's a miniseries. Big Bang Theory, they're charging ad rates based on the viewership, so they just need the numbers.
Exactly.
They just need the
Yeah.
eyeballs.
I mean, it's a completely different. But so, for example, Game of Thrones being such a big hit, like HBO never had to release its ratings either.
No.
It just actually becomes another marketing and PR tool for them to get you to subscribe to HBO. Like, hey, you don't want to miss out.
Yeah.
Everybody's watching this thing, and you don't want to miss out.
Right. Basically, Netflix could now start advertising things. It's like Stranger Things is the #1 series on television.
Yeah.
Subscribe now,
Yeah.
and they would have the data
Yeah.
to back that up.
14 million people watch this. You don't want to be an idiot.
Yeah, and the fact that but that's the thing is like they haven't released it
That'll be
before,
what it
right?
is.
Because it doesn't impact their financial model, and advertisers don't need to know.
Yeah.
However, it is quite impressive, and
I think it's interesting that Nielsen stepped, because how many years now have we been like, Nielsen's worthless now, and it's
Yeah.
interesting to me that they're actually
Well,
trying to
they're trying to be
expand into
relevant.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they made these adjustments. They started off, DVR, now DVR plus 3, and everything. So now it takes it's ratings. As subscription models go up, ratings are probably going to become a little less meaningful.
Yeah.
But I think it's an extra metric that I think Netflix can now start pointing to say like, this is numerically a success, and here's why you should subscribe to us.
yeah, you don't want to be the kid at the party that doesn't know the things. You also don't want to be the kid at
No.
the party that's not watching the new Twilight Zone. Segue.
I liked it.
That's
Good
good.
one.
Yeah.
3 out of the people at this table liked it, including myself. So I protest.
Well, your
In
vote.
any event, my vote doesn't count.
It's biased.
Why?
It is
You're
biased.
a little biased, to be fair.
CBS, Boss, Les Moonves, said
Leslie.
during the company's earnings call with investors today. I don't know.
Oh, Leslie Moonves.
Leslie Moonves, sorry.
Les Moonves sounds like a Star
no,
Wars
he
character.
That's what he goes by.
He goes by Les.
He goes by
Oh,
Les,
Les.
yeah. Said today that it's rebooting the iconic TV series The Twilight Zone, and this is where it gets exciting. It's with Jordan Peele, who's going to be basically like the Rod. My understanding of this is that he's going to kind of be like the Rod Sterling, that he's going to both be creative and appearing, which is incredibly delightful. Tell me all of the reasons that you want to see this.
Who wouldn't want to see this? This sounds awesome. You know,
Not a
chipping
leading
away at my
question.
resistance to CBS All Access, but this is the first crack in that ice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a Star Trek fan, so that didn't
I
do it
guess
for me.
we should
but
also add that this is going to be on the streaming site CBS All Access, in which, Dan,
why would you hide it there? I mean,
Well,
sorry,
they
They
Dan,
already
go
got
ahead.
me.
but-
Because they've got Star Trek. They've already got me.
they don't have
They
me yet.
suckered me. I'm
Because
in.
I waited to see how Star Trek fans liked the new Star Trek, and they don't.
I do.
But people that aren't huge Star Trek fans kind of do. There's a whole inverse thing that happens with Star Trek. That the more regular people like a Star Trek thing, the less Star Trek fans like it, and the more Star Trek fans like a thing, the less regular people like it. It's just this weird inverse
I'm
relationship.
a huge Star Trek fan, and I like it.
You're a magical
I
unicorn,
am one of the.
which we
I'm
all
like one of
knew.
two.
All right. If you have both of these things on CBS All Access, I'm more likely, although I resent this. I do. I resent the multiple streaming sites. I really, really do. However, this is a very exciting new series.
No, if they would have done a thing where they would have partnered with Hulu and just been like, just pay us like an extra $1 a month, and you'll also get CBS All Access, that would have been better for most people, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Get Out, that's basically
A Twilight
a great
Zone.
Twilight Zone
Yeah.
episode. I mean,
That's
that's
why
so
I'm
much.
kind of
Yeah.
excited about this because Peele made it. You know, you asked him yourself. You're like, would you direct a Marvel film or something like that? And he was like, no, I just want to do like
Ask
low
the
budget
hard-hitting
weird horror
questions.
stuff for like the rest of my life. And this is exactly that. So I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like something he's super passionate about.
I
So
pitch
that's
him
cool.
for everything. Every time you guys are like, who should I have do a thing? I'm always like Jordan Peele. So
Yeah, which he should. And here's the thing is like Get Out, I think remains so far, although we're about to get the flux of all of like the fall Oscar movies, it's still my favorite this year. It's still my favorite movie this year. I love that movie. I will watch anything that he does moving forward. This is not the first time the series has been rebooted. It was rebooted in 1985, and then again, and none of us
remember this at
remember
all.
this 2002 with Forrest Whitaker.
I kind of remember this.
I do not remember
I don't
Ghost
remember
Dog doing
this.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
Do any of you remember this? Did you watch it at all?
I think it was.
Do you remember Ghost Dog?
I do
Billy
remember
Business
Ghost
is
Dog.
oh, I really remember Ghost
I
Dog.
watched it. It
Billy
was-
watched it.
It was alright. They remade some and did some really it was generic.
He says it was generic. Can we get a camera on you and a mic or a thing?
Yeah, we need, like,
'Cause this
yeah,
is weird.
I like
business
his
cam.
disembodied voice.
And we need
Yeah.
Billy Vision.
Like, can we just do one of the ones which, like, you know, like this, like the Darren Aronofsky cam that's just like attached to your body?
No.
Okay. He said no.
He says no.
He said
no.
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 I would say
You know
like a
who's
god
in
mic
charge
that
here?
hangs over us.
Not
would be
this
cool.
girl.
Producer said no.
Would you say?
Oh, I just think hook like Lavam, and then we hang a speaker above us.
Okay.
And Billy's
And
voice
it's just like voice
booms
of
down.
God?
Yeah,
like
I like that a
it.
lot. Almost as much as I like this new Twilight Zone. Let us know in the comments how excited you are and how pissed you are that it's going to be on All Access. CBS is another company that we will not be working with. Fan questions! Raul says, he has Movie Pass, and he's asking how it's going. How many movies have you gone to see? He's gone to see a bunch living in LA. Dan, you're the one who's got Movie Pass.
I do have Movie Pass. We are taking advantage of this thing while we can because there is no way this thing stays in business currently for more than a year because like it's $10 a month. I used it once and I made $6. Like I made like 70. We've saved between my girlfriend and I. We saved $150 on movies, and we used it like 6 times because in LA it costs, depending on the theater, unless there's great ones like the Vista, which we talked about yesterday, it costs between $14 and $17 to go see a movie.
It was like $20 to see Thor.
Yeah, it's insane. So we're taking full advantage of it because it's going great. We're saving a lot of money, and I don't know how this company is in business.
How much are you spending on concessions? Because I know that like a huge chunk of what the actual movie theater makes is in concessions.
I mean, that's their saving grace. That's where MoviePass, I think, is thinking they're going to get their leverage, is that theaters are going to say like, oh, we're making so much more on concessions. I mean,
People love popcorn
a
or whatever.
small popcorn and a drink, $10, which I guess if you multiply it by many people, but again, I don't know how that keeps MoviePass in business. I get how
That's how it keeps the theaters
in business, but yeah.
Well, we talked about this. We have another video in which Dan and I talked about MoviePass that you should also go see because it's the parent company is basically a data mining company. So one of the things that they might be just doing is getting a ton of data to then sell back to we don't know, this is a theory, then to sell back to the studios to talk about in far more detail the kind of audiences they have for specific films and things like that. That may be one thing, or how likely people are going to go see.
Yeah.
Chime in.
Well, and they also this past week they emailed updated terms and conditions, which many people poured through, and one of those is that they reserve the right to upgrade, or not upgrade you, to graduate you to a different tier if they determine that you have been seeing more movies perhaps than they would be comfortable. So basically they're saying like they basically reserve the right to say with about 2 weeks notice like, hey, you look like you'd be more comfortable paying $20 a month for this, so you're just gonna do that now. Or you
How
can
do they
cancel.
decide who's more comfortable?
Or you can cancel,
doing
but
the
if you
things?
cancel, you can't resubscribe for 9 months.
Okay.
What?
Yeah,
Rude.
so they're starting to work in a little bit of an escape hatch where they could look at your usage and say, if you've seen 15 movies, if you're using it every day, they could say like, you might be more comfortable with our gold plan. So
You
we'll
should
see.
get grandfathered in, like the unlimited data thing that I'm still riding from like 2007
Yeah.
on the cell phone.
We'll see what happens.
Oh my God. That was a piece of Spencer
But for
information.
now, it's an amazing deal. It's an incredible deal. I just
Great
wish
deal.
they
It's a
took
great
the
deal.
ArcLight, but they don't.
It's a good deal.
Oh, it's okay.
Parker wants to know, what classic all-time great movie have you shamefully never seen? And he says for him, it's The Wizard of Oz.
Oh gosh, I have never seen Casablanca. I know, I get it.
Movie.
I feel like at this point, like it's been in so many different, like it's been parodied so often, and the scenes are everywhere that I feel like I've seen it. And maybe that's why I've never just sat down and watched it. Like I get it, Morocco, a plane, I get it.
Describe the plot in 2 sentences.
Some dudes are in Morocco. War is bad.
That's
That's
good.
true.
That's really
That's true.
accurate.
You saved
That's
yourself
very,
an hour and a half.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
realized at one
that's
point
a
that
great movie. She should see it. But
I should
that's
see it.
very
You're right.
It's
on
like
point.
perfect.
I did realize at one point that I hadn't seen The Graduate and had just seen Wayne's World 2 a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
So
Yeah.
describe that plot.
Oh, well, I have now since seen
Oh,
The
okay.
Graduate, but I have not seen The Shawshank Redemption yet.
Oh.
And I never will.
That's the one time I would endorse that. I love The Shawshank Redemption, but yeah, this other, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, yeah, never
There's
gonna see
secret
it.
messages happening then.
Yeah.
It's just my brand now,
like-
I think.
Okay.
The guy that hasn't seen The Shawshank Redemption.
It's my SNL character. That's why I
I feel
didn't
like
get cast.
I'm pretty good on my classics, but just this Halloween season, I was filling in my gaps in the horror movies, and I put on The Thing, and I was also eating breakfast, and I just kind of stopped when the dog turned into like a
Yeah.
gross noodle dog, and so I've only seen like the first 12 minutes of The Thing.
It's so good.
I'll finish it just
It's really
at night.
good.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's really, The Thing is one of the
It is
great
70%
horror
Kurt
movies.
Russell's haircut.
Yeah.
Oh, Haley,
Oh.
great hair, great
Real
jackets.
great hair jackets.
It's not just the hair.
I said 70%.
No, you're right. 70, and then it's another 20% just Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
But it's a great movie. You should check it out. Dan, do you have any gaps?
I saw it, but I was really young, and it was on VHS, and I was too young to appreciate it. Lawrence of Arabia, which is
That's mine.
up on the list. It's
great.
I've seen it, but I think I was too young. I couldn't appreciate it. It was not in the proper presentation. I need to loop back and actually really kind of watch it for the first time and in good picture quality and not 4:3 pan and scan VHS crop on a double tape as a like 11 or 12-year-old kid. I need to loop back.
Grown Dan needs to see
Yeah,
it.
grown up Dan.
Yeah.
I need to see that one too. That's my big one, and I don't know why, because it's just. But now I'm only going to see it on 70 millimeter in some theater here in LA, because that'll happen
Nice.
once or twice a year, I assume.
It's only 4.5 hours long. It's fine.
Yeah,
With an
It's
intermission.
like an average Harry Potter. It's fine.
I'm very happy no one here said Purple Rain.
I
by
feel
the way.
like.
Oh,
Come on. What?
Water's a Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah. Did you just insult Harry Potter? I want to be clear.
No, I was insulting movie length.
Great. That's fine. At Shabaka.
You got it.
Yeah. He said, saw Thor Ragnarok, floored by the use of immigrant song, talk about the rock songs in the movies.
Best rock
Best
songs
rock
in
songs
movies.
in
Next song, best rock song. Hey, I can't read questions.
The first one.
But that was the question.
That well, there were two. I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody, Wayne's World. But the first one that came to mind for me was Walking on Sunshine and High Fidelity, because that introduced the mainstream, at least, the people that don't know what a Tenacious D is, to Jack Black. Like that was his big, just burst
yeah.
into the record store, and you're like, who's this guy? And all of a sudden, he's cranking Walking on Sunshine and dancing around, and I fell in love with
I
him.
thought it was when he was, what does he sing at the end? Let's Get It On?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wow, Jack Black can really sing.
Yeah, exactly.
I take umbrage with you counting "Walking on Sunshine" as a rock song.
I'm not gonna get away with trying a little tenderness, then, am I?
No. But you
yeah.
said, is it Pretty in Pink?
Yes.
Yes.
I Stuck in the Middle with You is obviously really good.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love that moment in Pretty in Pink. It's so good.
And Pretty in Pink when they do Stuck in the Middle of You and they're like cutting off pieces of a dude.
No, I was still on the first thing you said.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Reservoir Dogs. Or was it Stuck in the Middle with You?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
really
Yeah,
Reservoir Dogs,
Steven's
yeah.
Wheel.
Yeah.
All-Star in Shrek.
Yeah.
No, what's I can't
Hey
think of
now,
a rock
Martin
song. What's
Starr
the
now.
song at the beginning of Belly when they're shooting up the strip club? And it's like a cappella until they like start shooting the guy and he falls through the glass, and
I should know that.
it's so good. That's my
don't remember
favorite
that.
like musical film moment of all time when they have the like weird contacts and.
So I have a really obscure one, but then I also have Layla. Goodfellas.
That's great. That's a great one.
Layla from Goodfellas. But then there's this movie called Siklo. It's a Vietnamese film that I saw like many moons ago. But there's this one really tragic moment in a club they're playing Creep. And it's this girl who's just like at her lowest point. And it's just a beautifully shot and incredibly well used and sad. But also Layla is great in Goodfellas. You remember that? Do you remember Layla?
I have
Another
to look
question
that up.
is,
That sounds really beautiful.
it is. It's
Yeah,
great. It's a
I'm
really
gonna
good
look
movie. Hitman312 says, what's your favorite movies to catch on TNT or TBS and just watch for fun?
Golden Child is still my top ranked. Oh, this is on? And then I just sit and watch it with commercial breaks and all. And probably Masters of the Universe after that. Like, if that's on TV, yeah, I'll just sit and not take a shower or start my day. Like, yeah, okay, this is what I'm doing now.
For me, it's definitely the Cage trilogy of The Rock, Face Off, and Con Air.
Yes.
Any one of those three.
Especially edited for TV.
Yes.
Like, even better
Only
somehow.
gets better.
I have seen the same 30 minutes of White House Down. 5 or
30
6.
minutes.
It's the 30 minutes where Channing Tatum is running around in the shooting people in the
Those
White
are the
House.
correct 30 minutes.
Well, from what I've seen, at the beginning and the end of those 30 minutes, I feel like those are the only 30 minutes of that movie that I need to see, and I'm not really missing anything by not putting the bookends on that. So it's a very entertaining 30 minutes, but for whatever reason, I always have to leave after. Something about Jamie Foxx finds some athletic footwear or something. I don't remember. He finds the president and they start off on what I assume is a hilarious adventure together. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I didn't see the rest of the movie, but yeah, it's like starts with him like and he's flipping on counters or something, and he's jumping on tables, and then he finds the president, and they're like, "Let's." The White House is down. Let's get out of here. But I haven't seen. I just remember Jamie Foxx is changing clothes for some reason. He found some more appropriate clothing. I don't know. It's the very tail end of that 30 minutes, so I couldn't tell you. And that's it.
Those are the right 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I have seen White House Down.
Uh-huh.
Those are
That's
the
the
right
correct
30
30
minutes.
minutes?
Those
Okay,
are the
that's
correct 30 minutes. What about you?
I was going to say Con Air, or Bad Boys.
And then Spencer said 3.
I know. They're thematically related, not just by actor, but by
greatness.
message and by greatness.
Yeah, and by patriotism.
And by patriotism.
So Billy just came out and did one of these, which normally means wrap it up, but in this case means that
There's a helicopter.
There's a helicopter
Disney
above
princess
us,
is coming
and
for
we
us.
are about to be taken to Disney re-education camp, in which we will learn to love the most magical place on earth once again. So we couldn't get to all the questions today. We will do our very best to answer the ones we didn't answer today. Next week, one question is, what's your power animal? I will say mine. It's wolf. It's a lady wolf, and she's very pretty.
I want to see that persona. I need that persona.
Thank you for joining us today. We will see you next week.